Okay, so we closed out that the last segment there with this idea that there's something happening, and I'm telling you, it's the dawn of another awakening. It's going to require a whole new generation of engagement. I think young men and young women are soon going to follow, are going to be leading in this movement. Now, the verse that I'm thinking of is the last words in Malachi talk about a prophetic visitation that will happen in the last days, that will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I strike the land with a curse. It's a strange promise to close out the Old Testament, saying God will do something that will cause a reinvigoration of the family unit, lest a curse come upon nations. And where you see men now responding towards conservative interests and moral values, you're watching the dawn, I believe, of this era where young men and fathers, particularly men, are standing up as they ought to, so that the family unit and, well, lo and behold, the values of the family can be preserved from the onslaught of an aggressive Babylonian secularism that wants to atomize all values, gender, sexual constructs, and basically take apart the cohesion of society. Got a young man on right now who is Representative Nate Schatzline. I've had him on the show before, had him on Flashpoint, but here's somebody that went from pastoring into the political. And I got to ask you this. I know we got a hot issue you're debating right now in the House over there, but just for my audience that is just catching up with you, and you're on Real America's Voice now, so you're on Sunday, in the Bannon world. I want to ask you, most people don't expect a pastor to end up in the Texas House. What happened that got you into this fight?
Well, Lance, I'm honored to be on. I'm honored that I would even get a chance to come on and talk to the warriors that are with you and fighting for America every day. The reality is that if the church doesn't wake up and start reforming culture, then the culture is going to continue to reform the church and to weaken men, to weaken the family unit, to take away our biblical values and our rights. And so what got me involved was I was out on a prayer run one day. I was praying for my students, for our church. And about that time, I heard the sound of a baby crying. I took out my headphones. I look around. I was in the desert. We lived in California at the time, and now we're back in God's country in Texas. And I looked around, couldn't find anything. And so I kept jogging. About a mile later, I heard the same baby crying. And all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit spoke to my heart and said, that's the sound of the unborn that are going to die if you don't run for office and protect the unborn. And it was this moment where I was woken up. Went back and got my master's degree in poli-sci, graduated top of my class from Liberty University, moved back home to Texas and continued to pastor. And one day the opportunity arose for me to run for office. I had no money. I had no connections. I had really almost no ability to win. And in a three-way race against two career politicians, the church showed up. 17% of my voters had never voted before in a general election, but the church showed up and got involved, and we ended up winning by the largest margin in the state of Texas out of all 150 races because the Lord said go. We weren't afraid to lose. We just wanted to be obedient to the Lord. And so now I'm actively advocating every day for biblical values right here at our Capitol.
All right, so now you're in the battle, right? And people don't realize something's going on in Texas, which is really perhaps indicative of a strategy that could be going out for the United States. You're battling over HB 23. Everyone in the country, everyone in War Room, and everyone in our world needs to hear it. What's that HB 23 about?
So if we weren't in a battle for our Christian values right now, and if Islam, radical Islam, was not invading Texas and all over the country, creating no-go zones in these Sharia cities where Sharia law is being put into place, and they're creating, these radical Islamists are creating their own police force, and we're seeing honor killings, we're seeing children being harmed, we're seeing the women's rights being taken away, and a complete throwing out of the U.S. Constitution in our Texas Constitution. If that wasn't happening, then this bill would not be that big of a deal. But this bill, what it seeks to do is, the intent was good, is, hey, we're going to remove some regulation. We're going to make sure that developments can go into place. But because of our current state and because of where we're currently at, what this bill actually does is it removes the regulations for Sharia cities where these horrific radical Islamic communities that we're seeing in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're seeing in some of our leftist cities are invading the DFW area and all over Texas. Even in rural Texas, we're seeing radical Islamists come in and say, hey, we're taking over. In fact, we see this on a daily basis on the Texas House floor, where we have resolutions that are honoring imams. We have resolutions that are honoring Zoroastrianism and radical Islamists and Pakistan Day, you name it. And so what we're seeing in these regulation bills is we're having to be heightenedly aware and educate the body, the 150 members, that, hey, this isn't a religious liberty issue where we're saying, okay, we don't care if you are Islamic. This is an activation of radical Islam into the state of Texas, where they are trying to take over. We see this with current state reps that are Islam or that are Muslim right now, that are taking ground every single day. And so this bill would allow, and this is the dangerous part, not just for these developments to be built, but this bill would actually allow for its own police force to come in, thus superseding our cities, our Constitution, and the protections that we have as Americans and as Texans. And so it's a problem. I'm going to be voting no. Our hope is to amend it and to fix it, but if not, we just need to take it down.
Well, so where's Governor Abbott and the Lieutenant Governor on this stuff?
So it's interesting. We've seen Governor Abbott be incredibly vocal. Just a couple of weeks ago, he came out and said no Sharia cities are allowed in the state of Texas, and they're pushing for this. The narrative is correct. We see the lieutenant governor on the same page. The problem is we have a Texas House where our speaker got elected with a majority of Democrats, and he is completely owned by those Democrats. And so we see this radicalization of Islam coming in, and while our governor is standing against it, and while our lieutenant governor is standing against it, the Texas House continues to perpetuate this attack on our Western values. And Lance, you know this to be true, but radical Islam is not just another religion. It's antithetical and it's completely non-cohesive to our Christianity. It's non-cohesive to our culture.
It's like when I remember when Hamas was elected democratically, as they said in the Providence Journal, where I lived in New England, so proudly, democratically elected Hamas. I said, well, there you go. They just elected a terrorist group to run Gaza. So right. Hamas is going to now be running Gaza. Just watch where that takes you. So imagine radical Islam. Now, by the way, I want you guys to play cut 5, just so my audience gets this. The Epic City leader is talking about the importance of their city. It's 24 seconds, but you'll hear their pitch man as to what their envision is.
Can you imagine an entire city? Nothing this ambitious has ever been planned before in North America. And there's only one community that inshallah ta'ala can do it. And that is our community right here, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Say inshallah. Rather than just one subdivision, an entire city that we advertised to the entire American subcontinent that look, Epic 1 was such an amazing success. What do you think would happen if we bring forth Epic 2.0? What is going to happen if we bring forth Epic 2.0, taking the best of Epic 1.0 and then purpose building an entire facility, an entire city, not just a subdivision, an entire massive plot of land right here in Dallas. Not 100 houses, 1,000 houses. This is going to be the opportunity of a game changer for the American da'wah scene.
And so what people don't realize is that Islam has an evangelization program. And I remember I ran into a guy who very soberly told me, he said, you know, your 7 mountains is actually their blueprint. And he said, I work with the Muslim community. We have plans as Sharia. We have our own education, our own media, our own business, our own government, our own courts, our own Sharia banking. And basically, it's the 7 mountain strategy of discipling nations with Christian values, but it's radically reversed so that Islam dominates. And to do that, they will take real estate. They will set up in ways that I get accused of being a Christian nationalist. And I just talk about the benefits of having the golden rule and Christian values, which is blessing America right now. These guys are coming right through the front door. And you know why they're getting away with it? Because some people in Texas make money off of working on these developments. And if we were really shrewd, we'd be advertising who the developers are, who the bankers are, who the people are that are betraying Texas for profit in order to build these enclaves of dangerous anti-American harvest points. By the way, Sharia law isn't just the problem. They actually have an evangelism fund, and globally, Islam ties 1% to 2% from its mosques into evangelization. This is the evangelizing strategy of how to take over North America. And it's happening because our Democrats and weak Republicans are caving in to votes, to money, to privilege, to power, and it's only because Texans don't know about it. So what can Texans do?
Well, I think what you said is so important that it really is. And I want to emphasize, because we know Democrats are going to be Democrats. We've known that for a while. They're going to go after, agendas that are anti-God, that are anti-America. But now to see weak Republicans, I've had conversation after conversation with these guys, Lance, where we have literally said over and over, guys, you don't understand. Within Muslim texts, within their sacred texts, it actually says to deceive and to lie to the believer or to the non-Muslim. And what that means is they have been given permission from their false God to be able to go in and twist the truth. And so what these Republicans are hearing from Muslims is not the truth. And yet, even though they've told us in their text what they're doing, we choose as weak Republicans to come in and just continue to codify these laws. And so the action steps are simple. We need to urge your state representative to say absolutely not. This last week, I opposed and made a speech against a resolution that would honor the leader of Planned Parenthood because we're a pro-life state. Well, we need to start opposing every resolution that honors anything Islamic because it is antithetical to our Christian worldview. And so For Liberty and Justice, that's the organization I run where we seek to mobilize the church, wake up the city, and take a stand in the governmental realm. What we're doing is we're getting our chapters together and we're saying oppose it, send in emails to the speaker, say no more of this approval of radical Islam in the state of Texas. And so I would encourage everyone to do the exact same thing at forlibertyandjustice.us. That's forlibertyandjustice.us to start a chapter or to get involved in a chapter so you can be a part of fighting this radical Islam in Texas as well.
All right, so they could go to libertyandjustice.us. That's one action they could take. And how can they keep following you and keep up to date with what's happening?
So on X, I am just at Nate Schatzline, NateSchatzzLine. I am posting about this constantly. And actually, my legislative director is also an investigative reporter that has covered this extensively. And that's Carlos Tercios on X. It is the greatest leaked footage for exposing radical Islam in Texas as well.
All right, Nate. Well, we're going to keep in touch with you. I know that you're in session right now. Thanks for taking a moment to step out and be with us. And that's HB 23, right? That's what we're debating. And I think that every patriot, Trump-supporting, voting Texan needs to start paying attention to their hostile takeover of the Republican Party in the House and get the House in order, because this is just like working with California or Colorado now. It's right in the middle of Texas. And we're not going to let it happen. We're going to take action. Thank you, Nate. We're going to have you back on for an update. We appreciate your patriotism, your courage, and your commitment to the gospel. God bless you.
Thank you, Lance. God bless. It's always an honor.
Well, there you have it. I'll tell you what, we don't have any time left in today's show. We ran out of time. But you know what you got to do. And if you're out of the state, doesn't matter. They're coming to a theater near you. You heard 2.0. You know what 2.0 is? This can be done in your state, too. We've got to crush it in Texas, or it's going to metastasize all over the country. We'll see you again tomorrow.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Lance to save big on all of Mike's best products. That's promo code Lance.